Everybody seemed to have his own Lincoln. You know, we had a book proving that Lincoln was gay. We had one proving that he was suffered from clinical depression, one proving that he was a fundamentalist Christian, written by a fundamentalist Christian, just as the depressing book had been written by a guy who'd had depression. The book proving he was gay had been written by a guy who was gay. There was even a book proving that Lincoln would have political views identical to Mario Cuomo's if he were alive today. And that book, of course, was written by Mario Cuomo. So I thought, well, what happened to that Lincoln that I knew as a kid, the huge Lincoln, the iconic Lincoln? And that sort of set me off looking for Lincoln through the people who love him and obsess about him. So I went and I talked to the owner of the largest private collection of Lincoln stuff. And the things she showed me were from Mary Lincoln. She had Mary Lincoln's undergarments. She had a beautiful handmade sewing kit with Lincoln's likeness that Mary Todd had commissioned. She had various gifts that Lincoln had given her. And I saw that what was going on here was she was in love with their love affair. There's a group in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania called Tigrit Corp, which stages seminars in which Lincoln is used as sort of an instructor to CEOs, mid-level managers who come for a weekend to learn about how to handle their business better. Lincoln was a master manipulator of people, but he was himself, could not organize his way out of a paper bag. He kept his stuff in his hat. He forgot to cash his paychecks. He didn't know who his clerks were half the time. He was very vague. And so it doesn't make any sense to try and hold him out as the model of business acumen until you attend one of these seminars and you see what's really going on. They weren't really teaching business technique. What they were trying to teach was how to get along with people. And there was something, again, it kept, this recurred over and over again. There was something beautifully and touchingly American in what they were doing. I was in the lobby of the Springfield Hilton, and an old man from Czechoslovakia in his late 80s had come there. He said he'd been trying to get there for half of his life, the last 40 years. He said he'd been in the concentration camp. He pulled up his sleeve when he said this. Every time he mentioned the concentration camp, he pulled up his sleeve, and you could see the number there. He said he knew about Abraham Lincoln and George Washington from when he learned about them in school as a boy in Czechoslovakia. When he was in the concentration camp, and he was all alone in his cell, it was the worst time in his life, and he didn't think he could go on anymore. And he said Mr. Lincoln came to him. Mr. Lincoln stood right in front of him, just like I'm standing here in front of you. And Lincoln said to him, "You never forget. All men are created equal." From this time onward, the man says he knew he was going to be all right. He knew he was going to persevere. And he vowed if he ever got out of that concentration camp, he would come to Springfield to thank Mr. Lincoln. And it turns out there actually is a Lincoln that we can learn from, draw inspiration from, and claim as our own. And you see it in the statue. It's huge, obviously. That's the first thing you notice about it. But if you look closer, you see the hair is rumpled, the tie's askew, his eyes aren't quite even, his hands betray a kind of fidgetiness. He's wearing street clothes. This is a man. He's not a god, but he's very big. Wherever I'd gone, I'd gotten a different kind of Lincoln, through the collectors, or through the, Lincoln the business guru, or Lincoln the political figure, or whatever Lincoln I'd been given, the Disneyfied Lincoln. I'd look over there and I was sort of reassured. He's still there. That Lincoln is still there.